Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, the origins of the Ceadogán rug maker story dates back to 1981, but over the past 4 decades, the Wexford-based business has developed a product which has proven to be particularly popular with Irish embassies all over the world. Colm Kenny and Martina Navratilova represent the latest iteration of the business, having taken the helm in 2020, and they join us now to tell us more. Colm, Ceadogán Rug Makers was first established over 40 years ago, so talk to us about the origins of the business and what it set out to do.
Well, it was set up in 1981 by Tom Ceadogán. He was working in Youghal Carpets at the time, and he set up Ceadogán Rugs as a sideshow, I guess. He was making mainly hearth rugs from his home in his spare time. I think in 1989 then Dennis and Fiona took it over from Tom after a short stint of working with him, and they took it from there to what it is now, basically. So it's grown in scale and it's changed slightly, and we make rugs to order now in all shapes and sizes.
And when the business was acquired by Dennis Kenny and Fiona Gilboy in 1989, how did they go about developing the business and putting their own stamp on it?
Well, I suppose they started with the hard work of trying to learn all the bits and pieces about how to tuft and how to source the wool and all that, and develop the techniques. And then also Fiona was the first kind of a person behind the designs of Ceadogán rugs. And then once that was kind of established, they have approached other artists and designers to help them out with making a variety of the designs. And now I suppose we have about 12 or 13 designers on board with their own collections, and we still are kind of working with different artists and designers.
So talk to us about the Ceadogán rug style and the various design influences.
Influences, that's a tough one, really. I mean, we all have our own tastes that we like.
Yeah, but I think Art Deco and mainly Gelad were the main ones. They were the real kind of point in our business.
It's something that we all feel hugely inspired by, especially the connection with Eileen Gray to Mainey Gelad and the Wexford connection there, and so that's something we all feel very passionate about.
It's an interesting business model, I have to say, because not only do you design and manufacture your own rugs, but you also then work with a panel of 13 designers, all with their own individuality. What is the commercial relationship between Ceadogán and these individual designers across the country?
I suppose it's based on a commission. So we work with their designs, which they come to us with. And then we say, okay, is this doable or not? And how can we approach it? And what will be the size? What materials will you use? And is it going to be addition? Or is it going to be one-off commission? So we do all that with them. And it's actually amazing to be collaborating with other designers and artists, because it always brings something new to the table.
A very interesting aspect to the work that you do is there's a Ceadogán rug in many of the Irish embassies across the world.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we have over the years made rugs for the Irish embassies, which has been a real kind of a privilege, and we take a pride in that, because it just means that the bit of Irishness is brought all over the world, and especially from our own workshop that we have just in our yard in Barrystown.
And Martina, talk to me about the different materials that you're using within the business.
Yeah, so mainly what we would be using would be 100% wool, which is sourced outside Ireland and Ireland. Then we use some silk as well. We tried hemp before, and we are just kind of looking into it, and we are doing our research. So we want to kind of bring as many natural materials as possible. And also when we are sourcing our materials for making rugs, we are trying to source them as close to us as possible as well.
And of course, that's so important today, that ethical sourcing of materials and the authenticity of the material itself is so important. Are you finding that in your own business, and that it's getting more important all of the time?
That's a real keystone for us, actually. It's something we're very passionate about.
Definitely, and we want to kind of bring it more and more closer, to the natural as possible and the closest. So within our radius there is a big farm, and so we have some plans for future as well, to planting and growing our own materials, but that's down the line.
So when you're choosing a supply chain partner or partners, what factors do you consider?
We always try to source it as close to home as possible. And if not, if we're stepping out, we ensure that whoever it is that we're buying from, they're doing just that,
And also that whatever they are doing is very transparent, that you know where everything comes from and how it's made. The integrity of those businesses that we would work with are very important to us as well.
Yeah. And I mean that the whole textile world, soft furnishings, there's so many really nasty materials that are used in there, and I guess for us it's a very important thing that we deal only with natural materials. So everything we tuft with is natural. We don't use any of the mixes, say, where there's polyesters and acrylics run through the wools and things. So.
And when a client approaches you to do a one-off project, what process do you bring them through, and what are the influencing factors for your customers when they're purchasing a rug?
Yeah, it's very much experience. So we love people whenever they can, that they can come to our showroom. We can show them around the workshop. We can show them the materials. If necessary, we can make even little samples so people can see how the design will transfer. And so it is a relationship, and it's so important to us that it is a relationship, and that they have a say in what's going to be created.
So how long does it take to turn around an order?
It's 6 to 8 weeks is the general lead time. We kind of pride ourselves on doing a quick turnaround and not having people waiting for too long. So 6 to 8 weeks is what it is. The only thing that's caught us on that in recent times was Brexit, actually. But we're negotiating our way out of that one at the moment. So yeah.
Colm, yourself and Martina took over this business in 2020, and then just around the corner, of course, was COVID-19. What impact did that have on your blossoming plans at the time?
We got a fright, first of all, and we were just kind of holding our heads and thinking, what are we actually really doing here? We really weren't sure what we are doing, but we did it. And I think what saved us is just the persistence, and also the fact that we are not a big space, so we didn't have many people working for us, so we managed to actually work through the whole COVID, which was really lucky.
Yeah, we could all work either in isolation or from distance as well. So,
and I suppose one of the other benefits as well is that you had a known brand that you were taking over, as opposed to being in a startup situation, right? So that must have been beneficial, was it?
It was. Definitely.
It is, because an established name, and there's that trust there as well. So we did notice during the whole COVID thing that the online sales and international sales actually grew. And I guess that was very much based on the trust that's been established there over the years, yeah.
During COVID, I presume that the commercial aspect of the business quietened down. So has that started to come back?
We were lucky in a number of senses. There was a kind of a large-scale commercial contract which had come in a week or two before the COVID hit us the first time as well. And we had literally just gotten the materials in. We had everything just ticked and ready to go. So it was a big project, and it kept us going for those first few months, right through the first lockdown, actually. So that was a real blessing. So we didn't notice a slowdown. By the time the initial lockdown finished up, things were picking up a little bit again all around, and we just kind of kept going at a steady pace, We didn't, I wouldn't say we benefited either. We were lucky. I think our scale helped as well. And we managed to just tick along there at a steady pace, yeah.
And as we look to the future, what are your plans for Ceadogán rugs over the coming years?
Well, I suppose we want to keep the good name of Ceadogán, and we like to make our own stamp on it, and we would like to collaborate with more artists and just be doing the best we can do and really focus on the quality rather than quantity. That would be our plan, I suppose.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Colm Kenny and Martina Navratilova, and we wish the team in Ceadogán Rug Makers every continued success with their business.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast